Good morning, my dear students of class 9. Welcome to your economics class. So, students, do you all remember what we discussed in the last class? In the last class, we discussed about the value or significance of skill-based education. We discussed the importance or the value of skill-based education with the help of one case study. You remember there was one village which was a self-sufficient one. The people used to cultivate crops only in order to feed themselves, not for selling in the market. The people, they used to educate their own children. The people, they used to stitch their own clothes. But then one family in the village decided to send their son to the agricultural college, and that was the beginning of prosperity in the village. That boy soon turned into an agro engineer, and he proved to be so productive that he designed a new plow, and with the use of that new plow, the family, that boy's family, was able to increase their agricultural productivity. As a result, they could sell the extra or the surplus crops in the market. They started making profit, and students seeing this, the villagers also urged to send their children to schools. A school was set up in the village. Then the children started going to school. Then one girl was given training on stitching clothes, on tailoring. So later on, various kind of jobs came up in the village. That village initially had no job opportunities, but later on the various job opportunities like tailoring, teacher, agro engineer, etc. came up in the village. So students, just a little investment in human capital in the form of skill-based education turned the village from a simple village into a modern village with all the important economic activities. And students, the village was now able to contribute to the national income of the country. Okay, so this is what we discussed in the last class. And students, this was the last topic of the chapter People as Resource. We are done with the question answers, both extra questions as well as the exercise questions. So students, today we are going to start with the third chapter of your economics portion. Yes, you heard that right. So today we are going to start with this chapter, Poverty as a Challenge. Okay students, so let's not do any further delay. Let us start with this chapter. Well students, in this picture you can see two images. The above image shows 4 children. Their condition is not looking very good. They are not properly dressed, and they are looking quite dirty, unhygienic. And if you see the background also is quite unhygienic. It looks like a slum area. And students, the below picture, you can see it is also a slum area. People are working, it is all dirty. So it gives us a glimpse of poverty, right? So today we will discuss what poverty actually is. What is the meaning of poverty? So you will be able to develop a general idea of the concept of poverty. And students, you will also understand the various features or aspects of poverty. That means what poverty is all about. Okay? Well students, in simple words, if you have to define poverty, then poverty is the state of being poor. State means the condition. Okay, so poverty is the condition of being poor. Now you might be thinking that poor and poverty are same, but they are not same. Yes, they are related. Poor and poverty, they are certainly related. They are related to the same thing, the lack of the basic facilities, right? But then they are not exactly the same, which means that you cannot use poor in place of poverty or poverty in place of poor. Okay, because while poor refers to the people, poor refers to the person who is suffering from poverty, and poverty refers to the condition. Okay, so poverty is the condition or the situation in which people are suffering. That means the situation through which people are suffering. And poor refers to those people who are suffering from poverty. So that means poor and poverty, they are not same, even though they are related. Okay, now students, come to the meaning or the definition of poverty. So what is poverty? Poverty in general, it refers to the scarcity, dearth or shortage, or the condition or the state in which people lacks, or the situation in which people are deprived of a certain amount of material possessions or money. Material possessions can be anything: a house, then proper clothes, proper food, etc. Okay, so the situation under which people lacks a certain amount of material possessions, or the situation under which people lacks a certain amount of money, that situation is known as poverty. Okay, or students, it also refers to the inability of a person to access the various basic needs of his or her life. What are the basic needs? Our basic needs are food, clothes, shelter, then proper education, health care, isn't it? So poverty refers to the situation in which people are not able, okay, in which people are unable or not able to access or to afford these various basic needs of their life. Okay, so when people have this inability to afford the basic needs which are required by them, that's when the person is said to be living under a situation of poverty. And students, don't think that poverty is only related with not having money. It is in fact beyond that. It is much more than that. Okay, poor people have to face different consequences in their life. Okay, poverty is related with our social life, it is related with our political life, it is also related with our economic life. So that is why it is said to be a multifaceted concept. That means it is multidimensional. It has various aspects. Okay, it has different phases. It has something to do with our social life. It has something to do with our political life. It also has something to do with our economic life. Okay. Now students, the question is, what is poverty all about? That means, what are the features of poverty? Well students, when you come out of your house, when you walk on the road, or when you go sometime somewhere, we see different types of people in the road, isn't it? So many a times we come across different people who we think are poor. So how can we identify whether or not a person is a poor person? Okay, so students, you might be thinking that poor people are found in only rural areas or in urban areas. No, poor people are found both in rural areas as well as in urban areas. Okay, so when it comes to the rural areas, poor people are those who are basically the landless laborers, those farmers, because in the rural areas we all know that agriculture is the predominant occupation, isn't it? So in the rural areas, those people are considered as poor, who do not have their own land, or who are dependent on others who work on someone else's land. Okay, so in the rural areas, the landless laborers are the poor people. But in the urban areas, those people who work as daily wage earners, who engage themselves in various kind of casual or odd jobs, those are considered as poor people. So poverty is seen both in rural as well as in urban areas. It can be the people who work in the construction sites, or the children who work in the dhabas. This means that poverty also includes child labor. Many a times we come across children who are working in the dhabas, who are working in the hotels. Sometimes we see children as conductors in the buses. So students, these are all aspects of poverty. Okay, and poverty also includes the beggars who are seen begging in the roads. Sometimes you see a single person begging, sometimes you will see a mother begging with their children. The children you will see they are wearing tatters. Tatters means torn clothes. So students, another feature of poverty is that it includes beggars with children in tatters. Okay, in fact, in India, students, the problem of poverty, it is so severe that every fourth person in India is poor, which means that if we make a group of 4 persons, you will find that every fourth person in that group is poor. Such is the situation of poverty in India. And if we take the data of 2011-12, roughly around 270 million of people in India are poor, which is around 27 crore. So you see such a huge proportion of the total population is living under a situation of poverty. So poverty is a very, very serious problem in India. Okay, and in fact, students, India has the single largest concentration of the poor in the world. That means India is one such country which has got the most highest number of, or which has got the largest concentration of the number of poor people in the world. India has the largest number of the proportion of poor people. Okay, so this is the condition of poverty in India. All right, now students, there is an international organization. The name of the organization is World Bank. You might have heard of it. So the World Bank is an international organization which works for the economic development of the different countries of the world. How? By providing them with various kind of financial help, by providing them with grants means sometimes charity, by providing them with loans, and by different types of helps. Okay, so World Bank is an international organization which promotes economic development of the countries by providing them with financial help. So students, this World Bank has defined poverty in its own way. Okay, so according to the World Bank, students, poverty is hunger, poverty is lack of shelter. That means poor people are those who have to live in a situation of hunger. They are deprived of a proper shelter. Poverty is being sick and not being able to see a doctor. So the poor people, when they fall sick, they are not able to get themselves treated from a doctor. That means even when they are sick, even when they are ill, they cannot afford to get themselves treated from a doctor. Poverty is not having access to school and not knowing how to read. So poor children are most of the times deprived from education, and as a result they do not know how to read and write. Poverty is not having a job. So students, poverty also is related with unemployment. It leads to unemployment. Poverty is fear for the future. Fear for the future in the sense that students, poor people do not have any future planning. Do you think the rickshawalas, the thelawalas, the vegetable vendors, they have their future planning? What they will be doing after 10 years, what they will be doing after 5 years? We have future planning. I have thought of something that after 5 years I'll be doing this. You must have thought of something that after 5 years I'll be studying in this college, I will pursue this course. But do you think this same thing happens with the poor people? No. Why? Because they do not know anything. What is going to happen tomorrow? Forget about the future. So they are living one day at a time. They are just living at the present. They do not know what is going to happen tomorrow. So they always live in this future regarding their so that means they always live in this fear regarding their future. So students, you see, poverty is a multifaceted concept. As I have already told you, it is not just related with money, it is related with so many things. When you are poor, it has a long-term impact on your health. When you are poor, it can impact your education. When you are poor, it can impact your future. When you are poor, it can impact your ability to get yourself a shelter. So poverty is a multifaceted concept. It has various aspects. All right. So students, today we have discussed about what is poverty. So poverty in simple words is the state of being poor, and poor and poverty, they are different, because while poverty refers to the situation or the circumstances, poor refers to the people who are suffering from this situation or circumstances. And then students, there are various other ways in which we can define poverty. Poverty also refers to the inability of a person to access the various basic needs. It refers to a general scarcity or dearth, or a state in which people lack the various material or money possessions. Okay, it's a multifaceted concept. It is related with different aspects of our life. Then students, what are the features? Poverty includes landless laborers. It includes the daily wage earners. It can be seen in both rural and urban areas. Poverty also includes child labor, it also includes the beggar. In India, every fourth person is poor, and India has the single largest concentration of poor people in the world. In fact, students, there are numerous features of poverty. You just have to think, okay? And the more you think, the more features you will come up with, okay? And the students, we also discussed about this World Bank's definition of poverty, and World Bank's definition of poverty can give us an indication of how severe the problem of poverty actually is. All right, so students, these are your homework questions for today. See the first question: are poverty and poor the same? Then the second part is why. So your answer will be no, and then you have to also give the reason why they are not same. So as I have already told you, poor refers to the person, poverty refers to the condition, but you need to elaborate it in your own way, okay? Then second question, you need to define poverty, okay? You need to give a definition of poverty. Then students, in the third question, you have to state any three features of poverty. We have discussed many features. You can also write some features which are not there in the PPT or which are not there in this video, but which are relevant, okay? So students, kindly do this work and submit it tonight between 8 to 9 p.m. and in case you have any doubt, feel free to ask me. All right, thank you so much students, have a nice day.